Thank you, Akhilesh. I can see Akhilesh somewhere. Whatever, he's out. But thanks again. Thanks, Kotak, for this. It's always fun to present gaming to the suits, as I call them. And, the best I could do was wear a shirt. No, I always dress like this. I would never wear a suit. But, I hope I kind of take you through the journey of just the business of games. Don't worry, we're not going to make you do something you don't like. And, really look at what's staring at all of us, this huge, gigantic opportunity. I think it's just been clouded by a lot of investment themes that have, been around for the last 2 years, but I think the market's waking up. So it's a simple PPT. If you have questions, please interrupt me. We could do Q&A later. I've never done this before. I never start with a quote. I usually quote myself. But then I thought, I remembered this, and I said this was so opportune. And the quiz is in the room, the person who gets it right gets an autobiography of a yogi book from me as a present. So let me start the quote. And very, 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 very apt for the times we live in. Who's that? Yeah. You win an autobiography of a yogi from me. Later on. I'm a Marwadi, तो बाद में दूंगा वो आपको.
Autobiography from Marwadi? Don't hold your last name.
Yeah. But for the rest of them, let's complete the second part, which is even more interesting. So, what is Brutus and Shakespeare doing here? I don't know. But I know one thing. This is here. It's the most amazing moment that I can see. And guys, I'm Buddha, okay? For you guys who don't understand, Buddha means old. I'm 47, I have this gray hair. And I've never seen an opportunity that is so phenomenally exciting before. So, this is what I'm talking about. And it's massive. If you just look at it and you look at the dimension, let's start looking at we all know mobile is here and there's this song that's being sung all day long. But the question is, have we looked at it from the right perspective? The most interesting phenomena of our mobile revolution, and before I kind of bring some of the layers out, just look at the way the market is going to move from today to the next 2 to 3 years. So I look at 70 million. I talk about 70 million mobile phones or smartphones because these are people who can engage. They know what to do when they switch on the phone. They can click on a WhatsApp. They can click on an email. I don't care about people who have a smartphone who don't know what to do with it. So these are people who know what to do with a smartphone. And this is today, right? And this is the kind of, boom, growth we're going to see in the next 4 years. This doesn't happen often. 300 million is larger than the US market at all. You have 300 million Indians who will know what to do with their mobile phone and will do a lot, trust me. So, this kind of explosive, tight demographic, engaging audience, expansion has never happened before. iPhone has been around in the US for 2006-07, and it's been a trickle theory, right? It's been on, off, but this is phenomenon. And this is what excites me the most, the dividend, the demographic. So you give 75% of the country of, the whole country is under 30. I don't know, I think we're the only guys who are above 30 sitting in the room. You go outside and everybody is under 30. Go to the malls, go to the cinemas. So if you look at the perfect storm, right? This is the makings of a perfect storm. 300 million free, data is going to be, I think Paytm will do a next, data service, so they'll give everybody as much as you use. That's a bad joke, but the thing is, you'll have a cashback, cutback, discounting on data also. And we will be promised so much of data and so much of offering that, the kind of outcome that we're going to have in services and usage is going to be phenomenal. So, let me ask everybody, you had a smartphone for the last, 3-4 years? Can you tell me what's happened to your life? Just random one-word answers. What's happened to you when you got a smartphone? So you had a smartphone or a phone earlier, and you had a smartphone now. Something phenomenal has happened. Just 1 or 2 words.
Carpal tunnel syndrome.
Sorry?
Carpal tunnel syndrome.
Absolutely. Distraction, you're still getting there. It's all the metaphor of something much larger, something much broader. It's very obvious, but just, sorry, timeshare, yeah. Sorry? Addicting, yeah. So these are all expressions of something that has got to do with our DNA, right? Yes, sir. Life, oh my God, you sound like an art of living teacher now, yeah. Life transforming, okay, agreed. You don't have to put up your hand, you can just shout, sorry. Services at fingertips. It's all in the current theme, you know, if I were to capture everything that you guys all said, it just changes our consumer behavior. This is very difficult. It's very rare to see something that suddenly arrives out of nowhere and begins to change your consumer behavior. And how? You know, just look back and say how. If you remember that Nokia thing that used to exist, dude, it was something that you picked up, answered the phone, did some SMS and forgot about it. You didn't look at the Nokia phone 68 times a day, did you? That's the minimum, 68 times a day. Count yourself, you'll be above 100, I can guarantee. Consumer behavior is changing, right? And that's phenomenal. And you know, just look at this chart, for example. So I extrapolated the growth of mobile phone, and I just took two usage numbers, right? WhatsApp and YouTube visitors. I mean, YouTube was impossible to view on that shitty little, sorry, Akhilesh, you can not invite me next time, but you know, shitty little, let me say it again, phone that we used to have, right? Or whatever. If you look at the WhatsApp, I must share this example with you. About 7 months ago, I was trying to make a table for my house, a table to kind of, you know, a quick, easy table that I could use and assemble and unassemble. And I was trying to use my own brains to make that table, bad idea. So in the end, I had a fight with the carpenter, and I said, dude, I just don't get it. And he said, sir, why are you worried? आपके पास WhatsApp है ना, तो मैं आपको drawing कर भेज देता हूँ. Which means he said, I'll send you the drawing on WhatsApp. This is the guy who has the pencil under his ear, right? That's the carpenter I'm talking about. So user behavior is changing phenomenally, and I mean, you know, the result of all this is, as we said, time, distraction, and engagement, and that's where the theme is coming to. So there's a phenomena at work now, and as this phenomena accelerates 7, 8 times, you know, the magnification of this is going to be really, really something. So if you just look back, and I kind of look back as I grow older and say, what's happened in the country? What were those moments in time? What are those flash in the pan moments, things that happened in our history that actually got consumer behavior to change? Something phenomenal, right? And I look back at a time, you know, there's always been a confluence of technology and content. This is how we would see television till a few years back. Now, thankfully, there are people in the room who actually know what a television still is and have seen content on television that is black and white. But then in '82, the Asian Games came. And if you look at the import of color televisions from them and the whole concept of Sony, the brand, you know, television changed forever just because the government allowed us to import color televisions for the Asian Games. Before that, there was some draconian, you know, import licenses. Sony and everybody took advantage. A lot of Indian brands were born around that time, Crown and whatever, Onida and stuff like that. But having said that, that ability to then get people riveted to screen with color television never went back. And it's interesting because from 1982, exactly 10 years later, I believe, and I keep looking at this business and this company even more as I mature in my own business, you know, I think we had a big nirvana moment, and it was the birth of Z. Now, everybody knows or should know the, you know, almost fairy tale of how Subhash Chandra went to Li Ka-shing and bought that satellite. If you don't know, read it up. It's what stories are made of. I'm sure half of it is, you know, fun stuff, but it doesn't matter. This heralded something completely different. You know, I think color television, device, and content began to manifest with this kind of, you know, kind of moment in time. And 1992 was also Star and a couple of other guys. So it all came together. So if you look at the metaphor again, there are moments when technology comes, content comes, usage comes, and user behavior changes forever. It just changes forever. If you just look at it now, and you know, I mean, Z revolutionized technology. I used to see a program when I was, I think, 10 or 12. There used to be a woman called Tabassum who used to wear a big rose in her hair, and she used to just do this, you know. She used to just, all she did was do that. I mean, she had no substance, she had no content. She used to only do this, and all the men in the world would go crazy because of her, whatever, twist of her head. And she'd ask all crap, there's no content in the discussion. But that was it, that was what you watched, man. That is what you watched. There used to be these 9-color bars on Doordarshan with a screeching sound that you switched on if you didn't switch on the TV at the right time. That was the content you saw. And look at what we have today. You know, I mean, just a segue from where we are right now. I got Netflix in my house the day it was launched, and I have now officially lost my DTH remote control. It is lost. And I don't even care about it. It's gone. I don't even know where it is, and I don't know want to know where it is. I don't watch television anymore. So it's just the confluence of 3 or 4 things that come together. What Z did was made it local and made it snacky. They got that whole chemistry right. 2 ingredients that blew up. And you know, I was looking at there's this Saregama Pa challenge. I'd forgotten about it when I was making the PPT. I was looking at the images. There's a wave of nostalgia that came back, right? So phenomenal kind of success using this simple, you know, triangulation of time, content, and technology. So, you know, I should have asked Akhilesh for this data. I wasted, I think, 40 minutes of my life getting this when he had the database. But anyway, I went to every balance sheet of Z and I looked at the top line. And this is where they've landed up. So about 3,000 crores, 3,500 crores in turnover and 35,000 crores in market cap. So rich dividend, rich reward for being there and doing what they did. I mean, Star's not listed, Sony's not listed, but I guess you could see what that means when they list, right? So there's a massive market out there which has been created by content and television. Since then, we know, I think I was talking to another good friend of mine, Parthudas Gupta, who runs the new BARC or whatever it's called. So he simply said, Alok, it's just cut the crap, man. Don't worry about this data. 450 million people watch television every day. That's it. Just keep that data point in your mind. So 500 million people watch television every day. And you know, we know what the revenues are, so that's all fine. So I look back again and I say, you know, this is amazing, man, because it's all looking like it's going to happen all over again. You know, we had those 2 moments in time, and this is it. This is now. You have the same change in hardware, as I call it, or, you know, technology. This is a very interesting angle. I'm going to come back. I'll keep coming back to it, but let me elaborate on it. For the first time, there is utter domination on the distribution. So if any of you have invested or know of cable television, terrestrial or whatever, it's fraught with distribution leakage. It's got its own sense of problems. The operators, you know, the cable operators rob money, the satellite guys rob money. This is the most frictionless store or gateway to distributing content that mankind has ever known. And I'm talking about Android because we're an Android market, but you can put the iStore or iTunes store also. Amazingly democratic, amazingly, you know, non-frictionless, and amazingly, I use the word, I'll come back again, called frugal. You know, if it was run by a Marwadi, Suresh, if Android was run by a Marwadi, right, I would have said, boss, you give me 90% revenue, you take 10, yeah. The revenue splits, the shares over here are very, very different. So this has never happened before. Never ever has so many people with access to so much content hit a gateway that is almost behaving like God. And that is very strange. And gaming and media will completely become mainstream. So it's the same phenomena now, but this time it's going to be online, web, mobile, and I'll walk you through it. So this is the large headline, and you know, you got to believe it. Just 3 years from now, boom, we are going to be sitting in this country, the largest mobile games market in the world. You don't see it, you don't realize it, but it's happening. And the asterisk there is not terms and conditions apply. No, I'm not selling you some crap. It's only because I can't dimension the Chinese market. I don't understand that, it's closed, it's North Korea for me and I don't care. So we don't want to talk about China because, they're all fake. Sorry, didn't mean that. But in the English-speaking world, gaming, the Indian market is going to be the largest in the world. That's it. You don't get 300 million people with Android devices, with free time, going to college and school, and doing nothing. This is what the explosion is going to be. So what's the insight and what are the opportunities? What do we do about this? So what? Great. We've got a big headline. We've got a great story. What next? So this is the big picture. And you can gasp if you want to. The way the download trend is looking, very soon, we're going to be downloading 1 billion downloads a day. That's where it's going to go. So if you take India, for example, 300 million devices, you give any kid. How many people here have kids or young people who have access to your phones or phones? How many people have you seen, how many of them game or do whatever on it? Anybody? It's obvious, right? So even if you're downloading 1 or 2 apps a day, you're talking about 500 million to 1 billion downloads a day. That is going to be the momentum of content download or content adoption in a market. You don't get that anywhere in the world, right? You don't have 1 billion X flowing down the pipe into your phone. You don't have 1 billion channels to watch. You don't have 1 billion minutes to spend. You have 1 billion apps that are going to be downloaded. And lo and behold, 25% in every download in the world is a game. So we talk about 250 million downloads of games a day. That's going to be the momentum. So, at this stage, I want to bring the investor back and say, I'm going to keep going on and on and on about gaming and all that stuff. But, I think the investors in the room are saying, boss, here comes another e-com, .com guy who's going to bark all the time and, burn up the money and give us nothing. So let me pull back and say, no, I'm all about the money, man. The whole problem with this industry is the misunderstanding, right? Everybody I meet, because they're all above 40 and have never done anything significant with a smartphone in their lives, say, you know what, dude, no, but it's all free, yeah, it's all free, yeah, it's all free, yeah. So what if it's all free? That's what television is, right? It's all free. So, the money is not in the content, the money is in the ad. That is what people don't realize. If you have a 25, 30, 40,000 crore advertising industry today, what is that money for? It is for television advertising. 60% of that is TV ads. You total up the revenue of Star, Z and Sun and Sony, that is what people spend money on. So the money is already there. It is now a question of opening the sluice gates and saying, boom, here it comes. And whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, it's already happening. So I just looked at YouTube and I looked at my mobile games and I saw some of the ads that are appearing in them. It's all there. For all of us who have been close to advertising, you will learn that a brand makes its best film or best ad. The best effort of a brand is made in making its advertising film. It's typically shot for a minute, minute and a half, and then cut to size to accommodate television rates. You can't put a 1.5 minute ad on a television channel. But on YouTube, you can. And guess what? On mobile, you can, because mobile rates and YouTube rates are 1/100th of what they are on television. But the audience you seek is exactly the same. So, one day there will be, I'm going to write, well, I hope not me, but someone will write an obituary for a channel that was called MTV. Once upon a time, there was something called MTV, or whatever, man, some Channel V or whatever. Who watches that stuff anymore? You don't. Let me ask you a quiz right now. Which is the largest television channel for children in the world? Nickelodeon. There goes the suit. You disqualified now. Prize taken away, just kidding. Chuck Buck, sorry? Guess what? It's YouTube. YouTube, man. No Chuck Buck, no Muck Buck, nothing. It's YouTube. TV channel, that is what they're streaming, TV channel. You look at YouTube's offerings, TV, gaming, DIY content is the largest channel in the world. And they've got the largest everybody's buying ads on YouTube like they buy on television. So the money is in this. I just looked at this ad, for example, fully blown up, loaded ad, man, from beginning to end. And I don't want to do this ad session over here which says why mobile advertising, because we all know it's targeted, it's call for action, all that jazz comes on, right? That's not the Gyan session here. The point is the world's greatest brands and the world's smallest brands are all coming, or have come. So, how many people know Mary Meeker? Somebody? Thank God. Okay. So if you don't know Mary Meeker, please look her up. She's iconic. She's a goddess. She's been saying all the right things from 2000. She's at Kleiner Perkins. Mary Meeker's slides are God. Even God, reads them once in a while to update himself in what's going on. So Mary Meeker's speaketh is very simple. Look at this one line she said. Look at the insight. 24% of time and 8% of ad spend. Boom. So that gap is not going to be left blank by advertisers and agencies and media planners. Advertising goes where consumers are. You cannot keep that vacuum forever. Consumer and consumption is now coming on the mobile screen. And in India, the fun has just begun. I was looking at rates. 30 to 60 second ad on television on mobile is 15 paise per insertion. On television, it will be 3 to 5 lakhs. The caveat, of course, is it's not strictly comparable because Indian television sellers, ad sellers, pretend to sell advertising in the TRP and GRP jazz, which is just to confuse you in buying what you're not really supposed to buy. But having said that, even if you compare apples to apples, you can't get onto television in India with a minuscule budget. So the point I'm making is as a long tail of advertisers in the millions who are left unserved because they can't afford to make a TVC and they can't afford to buy 3 to 5 lakhs. Someone asked me a question about 10 years ago on, we were just arguing about Google versus Yahoo. And this gentleman asked me a very profound question. He says, I'll answer your question on the future of Yahoo and Google with one question to you. And I said, sure. He says, how many customers does Yahoo have? Customers who Yahoo bills as for its advertising. Can you guys guess how many customers does Yahoo have? Approximately? Fortune 500. They're advertisers, right? They typically spend on Yahoo. Fortune 500 into 10. So 5,000 brands in the world advertise on Yahoo. If you look at its sales book, probably they'll have 5,000 unique advertisers. How many advertisers does Google have? 5 million at that time. So you can buy an AdWord for selling a snowshoe in Nebraska for $10, target that market and leave it there. So basically the business of mobile and advertising has become so beautifully micromanageable, you don't have to have large budgets to achieve something. So the long and short of it is, the way the mobile ad business works, it's democratic and it's for everyone. So what? What's the big insight? Is all this just gyan or is it all this just big talk? Now look at the Z revenue slide again. And boom, someone just came in there to spoil the party. And I'm talking Google India, boss. We're not talking Google World. So Google India now bills more than Z. Z started in 92 and we're talking 2015. I don't remember when Google started charging, but it already does much larger top line than Z in the country. And they've just got started, right? They've just got started. Facebook keeps its revenues, its rates very, very low because they're using adoption. WhatsApp doesn't have advertising right now. Wait for advertising to start. And then we'll look at what's going to happen to these guys. So I did some TVM calculations, television and million, audience metrics. Don't ask me what I did, why I did, but this is what it looks like. And I, drew some projections of charts of TV channels. You don't have to get into the micro, but this is the verdict. Just YouTube and gaming alone is going to put so much pressure on these guys, they're going to get their lives disrupted forever. They will not know how to create audiences, how to get them to watch them, and how to manage their costs when people like us run amok in the democratic free world of Android, the Android universe, without a care in the world. So a phenomenal storm is coming, storming of the Bastille, as I call it, because I love history. And we're going to execute those guys, the Marie Antoinette. Just going to execute them, man. That's what's going to happen now. This is God himself. It cannot be. Nowhere in the world, I did a business in 2000, which was all about VAS, value-added services. We powered up the Indian Idol franchise in India for the first time. And that led to a lot of nice stuff that happened around the short code. And my moment of truth was when the first Indian Idol episode ran, and I had projected 1 lakh votes. I had projected 10,000 votes for the session, because come on, man, who pays 3 rupees to vote, right? And we landed up with 1 crore votes. And we had 3 crore in revenue compared to 30,000 in revenue. That's not the point. The point was my revenue share with Z and my revenue shares were 50-50. You make 50, I make 50, and everybody's happy. In the third season, just 3 years later, the telephone operators are calling me and saying, dude, how about 10%? And I said, oh man, I got this for you, right? I invented this format in the country. I said, yeah, but we own the channel, right? We own the consumer, we own the pipe, we own the number, we own the short code. Acha, theek hai, 12% le lo yaar. Completely non-democratic. It killed the vast market. You have Apple on one side and iTunes on Android on one side and iTunes on one side. Frictionless, completely, as democratic as it can get. The best part is on advertising, there's no cut, there's no revenue. So you can use their platforms as much as you want, get as many downloads as you want, generate as much revenue as you want, no problem. It's only when you build through them that they take a 30%. I have never seen anything like this in the world before. A gateway that is built by God. So we have the insight, we have the conclusion, we know what's going on. What's the strategy? What do you do now? What makes you guys wake up? Strategy is very simple. First, this misnomer. A lot of people come and say, "Arey, Alok, game to bahut hit ka kaam hai yaar. Oh, Candy Crush was made once, Angry Birds was made once." No, man, it's not voodoo. It's Subhash Chandra BD smoking style. There is a machine, there is a method, there is a mechanic, there is a madness to getting this right. You don't have to be on drugs to make good games. You just have to have a simple, clear strategy. And this insight is simple, local passion. Let me give you an example. I just captured the top sports games on the Android store a few days before I made this PPT. So what do I see, right? I see a pool, and then I see cricket. It's very simple. The minute you start serving your local audience what they are used to and what they like to consume, they will buy. And here, they will download. This is exactly what Z did in '92. They started customizing content, Kyonki Kabhi Saas Bhi Bahu Thi. Imagine watching that in New York on an ABC channel. Doesn't work, man. So the thing is, it's very simple. You just customize what consumers want, follow the same format, and lo and presto. So we saw this, and we said, let's put it to the test, right? So we just put out a bunch of cricket games out there, all unbranded, no IPL, no 5PL, nothing. Just boom, 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 regular stuff. We wanted to distance ourselves from branding and making sure that we're not being downloaded because of a brand name.
What's Kursi cricket?
That's my chacha who's playing the game. Arvind Kejriwal, Namu, and Rag. So we put a pun on these guys during the election time. We put these 3 buggers in a game, and they were supposed to play. You were supposed to play for who you wanted to vote. Google featured this as the game of the election. And I think it's, what is it, like 1 million downloads now. Hilarious. So we predicted the outcome but Suresh, on a serious note, we predicted the results before Indians voted. The results were the same. And Kejriwal came third. No, I'm not telling you the truth, but anyway. And so we did this experiment, right? He said, okay, let's make a bunch of cricket games. If people like cricket, people like local passion, boom, let's throw it up. What happens? Boom, they all ranked. It's so simple. I mean, there's no bheja to this. It's brain dead stuff. Take content, understand what the local market needs, wrap it around in Indian context, bang it out there. Let me show you another example, the very, very powerful example which shows you why Indians and why a local market loves content. We have this very famous game called Parking Frenzy. It's a global #1. And when it became #1 in the US, in the world, it was still #5 in India. Little alien, right? Parking Frenzy. I mean, I don't think our cars look so good in the world, in India. The roads definitely don't look so good. And we're used to, we're used to, what we're used to. So I think people didn't like it because it wasn't relatable, right? You got to go through the potholes to drive in India. But our desire was, no, man, you got to make it #1. How can our own game in our own country be #5 when it's #1 in the world? So we said, what's missing is localization. So now we didn't, little crack came on the road, the mirchi came, the nimbu came, the lal batti came, right? And then we put it out, right? This is the way it looks. These are the cars. This is the way the geography looks. Consumers loved it. And I want to show you the feedback, one simple feedback. This is on iTunes. One guy says, if you notice on a steering wheel, you have the rolly, the 2 threads on a steering wheel, taxi. They want that, man. They want that. They want the rolly on the steering wheel. They want stuff that they can relate to. They love what they see. They want to play with what they can, what's around them. Boom, one everywhere. Very simple, straightforward strategy. So I think everybody, all the GEC channels, everything, so we will make a Saas Bahu game, we'll make a blah, blah, blah game. We'll do everything that it takes to make us relevant to the context and the demographic that plays us, right? Simple. So in the India opportunity, I just took the last slide actually. Again, juxtaposed, the growth of mobile downloads and plays. And we're talking about 135 to 150 billion minutes of engagement that is going to be delivered through mobile. This is massively monetizable. It's massive, massive opportunity. Don't worry, man, it's background music for the slide. Just relax. It's a game, don't worry about it. Don't pay attention. So this is going to be the slide. This is going to be the place where he's obsessed. He's obsessed with his mobile phone. Plural, phones. So I think, I've spoken enough about what's the background. You don't need to be a genius to understand that, as more and more stuff happens around that device, engagement is going to be completely blown up. And just a proof of concept, right? Again, I love to regressively test what I speak on my own company and my own belief, because it's nice to speak, but you need proof of concept. So, if you just look at the time of engagement we delivered as just one games company, we served up 1 billion minutes in 2015. This is the way it's blowing up, just our company. And we've not even begun. We've not even begun getting that, that flavor right, because we're still experimenting with what works. 1 billion minutes served from 237, 3 years time span. Boom, is blowing up. So, takeaway. The second point is, I love this, it is de-riskable. It is not about some, making some movie with 3 Hollywood starlets and running after them and getting them to shoot on time. No, it's very simple. This is localization of emotion and our lives. And that business is going to die. It's going to die. Something terrible is going to happen to that television industry very, very soon. I had to plug, Akhilesh, sorry, I snuck this slide in despite you warning me not to tell you. Because otherwise I won't get paid by my VCs here. So, little pitch. We believe we are India's largest gaming company. Lots of traction, doing very well. And these are my coordinates. this is my usual dress code, but I guess the guy wouldn't allow me to get inside the hotel, so thank you very much.
As always, thank you, Alok. That was a spectacular presentation. We're open for questions now. Yes. Can I request you to stand up?
Hi, Alok. Just one question. You spoke about 1 billion downloads very soon, with around 300 million mobile users. So that's at an average, you're talking about 3 downloads per user a day. What kind of risk do you see to shelf life of each game? I mean, that's something which, there's the first question which pops up to my head.
So that's a very good question. You see, the thing is, when you de-risk the game and you look at the channel that you build, so we look at our business like a news channel or like a cartoon channel, depending on who you're serving. My favorite example is Arnab Goswami.
That's both news and cartoon at the same time.
Now, I look at that guy all the time. I keep looking at his content, right? I try and preserve a filter of so I put him on mute, obviously. And then I look at the content, right? So I said, let's look at the content on mute, because that's when you really get to see what's going on. And it's amazing, right? I mean, if you look at this product, it's come out of thin air, it's disrupted the 9 p.m., and it's the same. Can you remember, I challenge you, I will pay $1 million if you tell me, what did Arnab Goswami say day before yesterday? It doesn't, no one knows, no one cares. The point I'm making is, like cartoons, like news, it is a pipe. So yeah, sure, games will come, games will go, games will get destroyed. You make 125 cricket games, you won't care whether one game got played or not. It's a pipeline, because the apps business, if you follow the way iTunes has worked, Top of the Pops when we were young, it's all about creating content that has a kind of a salience with a demographic and a user base, and they want new. They don't want old. You never read yesterday's newspaper. So the news business is all about the same product presented in a brand new eye. We're not building Flipkart, man, that just doesn't get used or something.
Alok, some of the world's biggest brands don't advertise. Ironically, Google, Zara, WhatsApp, Facebook, Tesla, they don't advertise. Right? They say the product is the advertisement. WhatsApp, for instance, doesn't advertise. Are you scared that as advertising money gets smarter and smarter, as company gets smarter and smarter, your ad budgets and ad traction will shrink?
But then 99.8% dumb companies are always going to exist in the world, right? They're always going to sell us stuff that we don't want to buy. That's why advertising exists.
Right, and that's the lifeblood of the advertising business.
We don't want to buy the stuff they sell. We don't want to buy it, but they shove it down your throat. That's why there is advertising, right?
Right, yes. Right in the back of the hall, we'll get a mic to you. Can we get a mic there?
Thank you. Coming back to the same Yahoo and Google analogy you drove about, specific to Google India, in your sense, what would be the revenues from the enterprise side of Google India, and how much? I know, obviously, numbers may not be accurate, but just a ballpark.
So when you say enterprise side, are you saying search keywords as in?
No. So out of 4,000 crores, how much gets paid by businesses and how much get paid by
can you
small mom and pop
define
stores?
that? Oh, you mean so Google revenue comes out of 3 or 4 line items, as I know: AdWords, AdSense, and anything else that they sell, like Gmail services and whatever.
Right.
So I don't know the breakup. They don't break it out in their quarters. But essentially, if you look at it, India is still not the market.
What do you mean by enterprise services, though? That might help.
Like
No. So I'm saying the bigger companies, which are the market for.
No, so I think, the question is Brijvasi advertising on Google yet, right? They're not, but they're getting smarter. So if you look at the way, the whole business of Google has moved from, selling AdWords, essentially, and AdSense. AdWords especially is not meant for large corporations. And AdWords is a very large chunk of their business. Search revenue is a very large chunk of their business. So my belief is it would be definitely approximately 60 to 70% people who know what they're buying, for specific conversion, but there are 30 to 40% of people who are trying it out as business. I mean, e-com, for example. Okay. There are lots and lots of long-tail e-com companies today who exist because of Google. They're not there, they're not funded, they don't want to get funded, but they're successful. Achar wala, matri wala, they're all there on Google.
Okay, thanks.
Alok, how risky is Android's monopoly on the distribution network? Are you worried that one day they'll go from God to devil and screw you over?
Yeah, I mean, I think the government won't allow them. I think they'll just become that large, right? But yeah, totally. They own us. They own your phone. I mean, if the OS didn't start up tomorrow, India would shut down. It's like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is down for 3 minutes, and you look at the Twitter feed, like WhatsApp, man. You can't survive without it for a couple of minutes. So I think my bigger fear is data center going down, something bad happening. But evil happens in the world once in a while, and we get over it, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you were mentioning about frictionless somewhere. I think the point you're making is that the content, if you produce content on channels like YouTube, etc., the revenue is there to be taken. But we have heard in the last 5 years, the content, the revenue share for the content providers is actually coming down on the YouTube channel. Now, and it also depends on the volume which you put. And if the entry barriers are low, which means that there's more competition, so the challenge for the revenue is so much more. So how can you say it as frictionless? It's more friction.
No, it's the reverse, right? You can never produce a TV show today on your own with a bunch of 3 friends and go to Star, walk into their office and say, hey, play it for me. It'll take you 10 years to just get something out there. You'll spend crores making a pilot that probably gets funded by them and owned by them. So the way content gets distributed today is impossible. You can't write for a newspaper and get somewhere. If you look at Scoop Hoop, they've got probably 5 to 6 million uniques, which is larger than most of the niche channels today. They come out of thin air. So when you create content and you are able to distribute it without pain, that is my definition of frictionless. Now when you come to the revenue and monetization, YouTube revenue share has never changed. I think you're referring to something else. Because if you go to operators and distribute content, they kill you on the revenue share. YouTube is there, man. I mean, if you're, All India Bakchod, if you look at the TVF that got funded this week by, I think, Tiger and someone else, the viral film, they picked up $10 million. That's it. That's the proof of concept. And if you read, I think Neeraj Bhargav's quote, I think Neeraj was also part of that round, Zodius says very clearly that it is the disruption that we are investing in. So they're going down mobile and they're going down video, and I'm talking about the games business. It's the same thing. So to me, the proof of concept is the Zodius Tiger investment that happened probably as early as Thursday or Friday.
And yet, Alok, for instance, if you take the Pro Kabaddi League,
Yeah.
Star, using its television arm, has made it into the second most watched sport in India, right after IPL.
Right.
The internet and mobile hasn't been able to do that, and traditional television is fighting back.
Absolutely. So Suresh, your point is there is a niche, there is a market, there is a need to serve special interests, and sure. But trust me, when you do a kabaddi game, it's going to be equally popular. So
both and world, not necessarily either or.
Yeah. So we look at television to feed on. Let them make kabaddi popular, and boom, we're going to come with 3 kabaddi games and make them equally popular. And we don't want to pay Star anything.
So if Star was clever, they would make the TV show and the game and the online entity and muscle you out of the business.
Star would be clever if they acquire us, right?
Right.
That's being clever.
Yes. Sorry, I just think I saw a hand in the back. Did anybody in the hand put your back? Okay, go ahead.
Just another
Sure.
general question. In terms of in opportunity, do you think mobile web is an opportunity right now? Because everybody talks about how your Androids and your
That's a great question. The answer is depending on user behavior. So if you look at news as a category, there's a lot of inertia to download a news app if you're especially using news on the go, snacky news, Bollywood news. So it depends on who you serve. I mean, look at News Hunt as a product, done extremely well. I think it will depend on what you're offering, but I think mobile web is as large as anything else. So my expression is not just appification of mobile, it's the mobile screen itself.
Because just to add to that point which you had made about the pipeline, the reach is much higher in mobile web versus an app, right?
Dude, it's the same thing, right? If you're on mobile web, you're 1 click away from the app store, and you're 1 download away from that app store. It's just what you are there for. Okay. You can't watch YouTube video on mobile web. You have to watch it through the app because of the experience. But if I'm reading a tweet, I could do it on mobile web or through Twitter. Okay. It's just the experience.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Last question before we break.
Are we too dire in predicting a doomsday for TV channels?
That's a good question.
I mean, see,
Yeah,
your chart itself showed that Google has only added to Z's revenue. It has not taken away. So
Yes,
Z's,
man, that's supposed to get your attention, right? Yeah, yeah. We all want to thrive. So India is the only market in the world where even newspaper is growing. India is the only market in the world where television is growing. India is the only market.
in fact, radio has taken up ads.
Sure.
So we
So
can't.
how many
predict-
investors here want to invest in radio? How many investors want to invest in TV?
No.
The point is, of course, we're growing, but look at the we haven't seen an India yet with 300 mobile TV screens. We love to have that conversation that time with mobile screens. Let's see it, 150, 140, 60 million households of CNS, cable and satellite, 200 million. You will have the same, sorry, just take a minute more, Suresh. India was always called a single TV household. The Indian household never could afford one more TV. So we all sat around the television and watched. Dad or mom would put on the channel and you were forced to watch it. No one could watch Shin Chan at 9 p.m. That was what was supposed to be SAS or Arnab Goswami. Now we have 4 TVs in the room, in the house, but 3 of them are mobile screens.
Sure.
And that is what I'm talking about. Share of time is going to be taken away.
But in a country of 1.2 billion, is there a large segment,
yeah,
even
sure.
for the SAS Bahu serials?
Absolutely.
For IPL on TV?
Absolutely, and we don't want them. We're talking about the 300 million people who are going to come after us.
Yeah. So you will make money, but that doesn't mean Z will not make money, is what I'm saying.
It's a both and world, not an either or question.
Exactly.
It's supposed to make you ask this question, my friend. That's the whole idea of putting that controversial statement in.
All right, at this point, I need to intervene. Alok, thank you. We're out of time.
Always.
That was a spectacular presentation. Thank you for the engaging questions.